This is going to be a very raw, real, and honest account of my experience being pregnant in trimester 2, teaching fitness classes, and being a small business owner. I did an episode on trimester 1, so if you want to catch up with that one, I would definitely listen to that just out of interest. And this is for anybody who has maybe just fallen pregnant and are very active, or fallen pregnant and teach fitness classes or are fitness professionals, or anyone just really interested in how it all works and behind the scenes. So welcome to the podcast wherever you're at right now. And let's just go straight in. So I'll talk about a bit of a personal update and then any important dates in this trimester that you might want to be aware of if you are pregnant right now. The physical stuff and my current training schedule, and then maybe things to consider as well. Again, if you are pregnant, things to consider for this trimester, and then maybe looking ahead as well. So second trimester is typically weeks 13 to 27. So as soon as you hit week 28, it's like the final countdown. So as I record this, I am currently in week 27 and a half. So the baby is the size of the head of a cauliflower, apparently. I love doing those updates each week, by the way, and seeing how big it is, like in terms of the size of a vegetable or a fruit. It's really good fun. But anyway, yeah, that is the size of the baby. I would say the sickness feeling. So I was somebody who, luckily, I wasn't actually physically sick. I just felt nauseous all day and every day. Whoever made up the term morning sickness needs the sack, because it's not just morning sickness, it's all day. You just feel awful all day. Anyway, that probably lasted until week 15, 16. So if you are pregnant, don't expect it just to suddenly stop all of a sudden at week 13. And for some women, it can actually go throughout the pregnancy. But usually trimester 2 is where that feeling dies down and it kind of does stop. I also, at the start, didn't really need to adapt much, to be honest. And my training started to change a little bit, mainly towards the end of the second trimester. So during this time, I had quite a lot of social occasions. For example, we went abroad for one of my friend's weddings, which was absolutely amazing. And something that I was thinking, oh no, how am I going to cope when everyone's having cocktails in the sunshine and enjoying themselves? What am I going to do when I'm the only sober person at the wedding? On the dance floor, am I going to last? And I absolutely did. Absolutely. I was on the dance floor all night. I think I had 2 breaks, but it was great fun. I also did the Ullswater Way right at the start of the month as well. And we did that in memory of one of our amazing squaddies. She was like my squad mum, my auntie Annette. And that was, we raised over £15,000 for Cancer Research UK. And that one was around, off the top of my head, around 21 miles long. So I did that on week 14, checked it through my midwife and everything. It was all fine. It was absolutely fine. And also things like days out at the cricket. So if you are thinking, how can I manage these things? Am I going to be fine? Yes, you'll be absolutely fine. And there were some social occasions that I actually had to duck out of because my energy just really wasn't there. And I would say that I probably gave myself quite a hard time for not doing it and not being there and not being present. But then at the same time, you do have to cut yourself some slack too. Like, energy isn't going to be there all the time. Trimester 2 is typically where your energy levels do increase and you do start to feel more like yourself. And to be honest, I feel like I really have felt like myself throughout the whole of my pregnancy. But there have been times when I have felt a bit extra tired, particularly towards the end of the day. So I don't really make it to the end of any programs that we're watching anymore. I'm normally asleep by the time it's time to go to bed. But anyway, other things that we did, which are really cool, is we had the 16-week gender scan, which I absolutely recommend. So you go, they're private, these ones, and we thought, yes, absolutely worth it, because I don't want to wait until week 20 to find out the gender, which is where you can find out if you want to, at your 20-week scan. Or you want to find out as soon as possible. So I booked as soon as possible, literally on the day that I was 16 weeks pregnant. And we decided, you can have it revealed in lots of different ways, but we decided to go with the room that lights up. So it lights up in the colour of the gender. And it was the most incredible experience. and I was told again that baby Belle, our surname is Belle, by the way, baby Belle is very, very active. Very active, and baby Belle looked like they were twerking on the screen. It was hilarious. But it's such a lovely experience because you actually feel closer. Once you know the gender, you do this something about it. You feel closer to this little tiny human that's growing inside you. And I think up until that point, it felt very surreal for me. It didn't really feel like it was happening. And I wasn't massively showing. I just kind of looked quite bloated. And you do feel bloated anyway, and just look bloated. This awkward stage, when you look like you've had a big Christmas dinner, and everyone's like, is she pregnant, or is she just like a little bit bloated? Is she on a period? It's that really awkward stage. But I would say doing a gender scan made you feel closer. And then again, when you have the 20-week scan, the scans now, the quality is just insane. It's incredible. They even showed you the flow of the blood in different colours. And Will was absolutely fascinated. I thought that when we went for the scan, it would be this huge emotional moment and we'd be holding hands and I'd burst into tears. And it wasn't quite like that. It was a real wow moment, like, oh wow. When you can't stop smiling, your cheeks kind of hurt a little bit. And Will was just fascinated by the technology of the scans. He was definitely not holding my hand. He was right up at the screen. Wow. Oh, so how does that work? And just trying to work it all out. But that's Tech Will for you. But it was a really special time. For our 20-week scan, we actually had to go twice. So the baby was moving around so much that it was really difficult to actually get a proper scan. And then it had its arm covering the heart, and they have to see all chambers of the heart. So at the 20-week scan, I've kind of gone into the next section now, really, haven't I, on poignant dates, but at the 20-week scan, they really take a thorough look at everything because it is the last time you're going to see your baby until you actually see it in real life. So they need to make sure that everything is okay and on point. So they have to see all sides of the heart, all chambers of the heart. They have to look at the brain, the development, the size of the baby, all the limbs, make sure it's got all 5 fingers, 5 toes, etc. So it was very thorough. But unfortunately, baby Belle had their arm covering the heart. So we had to go back again the next week, which was a bit of a pain. And in between, they were saying, just go for a walk around the hospital, jump up and down a little bit, get a drink, which I did, and none of that worked. But we went back again, and it was quite nice because then we got to see the baby again. And again, you do feel closer. Now, I had an anterior placenta, which basically means that it's like a cushion between me and the baby. So the placenta's at the front. So I didn't really feel any kicks for a really long time. And lots of people saying, it's don't worry, please don't worry about it, it's okay. And I'm really not worried, it's fine, I've got an anterior placenta. But as soon as people start saying, don't worry, I'm like, oh my gosh, should I be worried? Should I be a bit concerned? So then towards probably when I started actually feeling the kicks, which was like week 24-ish, towards the end, I started to feel a little bit concerned that I hadn't felt anything. And during that time, we did have a bit of a scare as well, which I'll go into in a moment. But I had a couple of scares, and they weren't really scares. Everything is fine, but I'll explain in a moment anyway. But I had an anterior placenta, so you basically don't feel the kicks until a bit later. Normally, you probably feel them around about week 16-ish. I didn't feel them until about week 24, 23, 24, something like that. But anyway, I do feel them now. And it's an active little baby, especially just as you're about to go to sleep, apparently. Now, the couple of scares that we had, they thought that my waters may have broken. So I had to go into the hospital. And I wasn't really worried at the time because I felt fine. I felt absolutely fine. And I could still feel the baby. So I was like, oh, it's okay. But anyway, they called me in as a precaution. And I rang my mum, said, I'm just to let you know, this is happening. She's flapping, oh my goodness, we'll get your sister to drive you in. Oh my gosh. Like, no, it's fine. Honestly, I'm fine. And it was fine. They checked the baby's heart, and they checked me. I was fine. Just one of those things. But there's a lot of things that you have to look out for. So, for example, if the baby's movements start to change, so you're meant to start looking for patterns and things. The baby's movements start to change or they stop, then you do need to alert. alert the midwives. Any blood you need to alert, anything a bit unusual. You just need to make sure that they know, and you can just ring. I rang the triage and they advise you on what to do. So luckily everything at the moment, touch wood, is absolutely fine. Now, moving to the training side and teaching fitness. So in my own personal training, which I do to obviously keep myself fit, and it's something that I enjoy, something that I love and keeps me fit for teaching fitness, I stopped running about week 21. When I was running, I started to feel like a bit of a burning sensation, just, I would say, kind of at the base of the bump. So probably ligament pain. And it was very, very light. And I was becoming aware that I was growing this bump on the front of me. And I do want to take care of my pelvic floor the best that I can. So I was kind of considering stopping round about this time anyway, just with the weight of the bump on my pelvic floor and the pounding of the pavements. And so as it happened, it didn't really feel quite right anymore. I probably could have gone a little bit longer, but as soon as you start to feel that hot feeling in your ligaments, I thought it's not worth it. It's really not. So I just started doing things like spinning instead, and actually dropped the intensity. I would say that I pushed myself a little bit less. So in terms of high intensity all the time, I would say that I did more moderate to high, and maybe some more low intensity where I was just doing more strength training. So things that you want to stop doing in your second trimester. You want to stop doing anything like crunches or anything that causes more intra-abdominal pressure. And that might even be things like planks. So if you see a coning or a doming shape in your core, that shows that there's an increase in intra-abdominal pressure. So you want to back off that. And this is for anyone who's had a baby as well. So if you've had a baby and you've got diastasis recti, which is where your six-pack muscles have separated, which does happen when you have a baby, then it's really important to work on your deep core and avoid things that cause extra intra-abdominal pressure, like crunches, like any six-pack work, but also like things like planks sometimes. Or you can lower down to your knees, or you can do bear planks instead. I stopped doing combat, which I love. It's one of my favourites, but I stopped doing it because of the relaxin. So the hormone relaxin makes your joints more flexible. And it's not a good idea to be obviously kicking when your hips and your pelvis are much more flexible. It's just not a great idea, and it can increase the risk of injury. And I was a little bit naughty, and I did do it one time, and I kind of regret it for the next few days because it just wasn't a great idea. It's not harmful for the baby, it's just harmful for you. And also anything lying on your back for long periods of time. You want to avoid doing that now. Things like hip bridges, you got your hips in the air, that's okay. But lying on your back for long periods of time, not a great idea. Just try and avoid lying on your back, really. So I invested in a pregnancy pillow at night as well. Then other things I noticed were only from about week 25 onwards. So I'm like week 27 and a half now. I was getting more out of breath. And I really put it down to, oh my gosh, like my fitness level is decreasing. This is so awful. Even though I'm not silly. I know that my lungs the capacity has been reduced. Something is squishing my lungs. All your organs are being squished and forced upwards as this little being is getting bigger. I know that, but I gave myself a really hard time. And I noticed on walks I was starting to get a little bit more out of breath. Sometimes I might feel a bit lightheaded. Again, this is week 25. So I just had to stop, regather my breath, and carry on again. And when we went on our baby moon, it was a similar sort of situation. But I just took more breaks. And by that point, our baby moon was last week. By that point, I'd kind of come to terms with the fact that, okay, like I am growing a human, that this is okay. I'm allowed to feel a little bit like this. I also started wearing a pregnancy belt. It's like a support belt that you put underneath the bump. Just when I was going on walks that were going to be, say, longer than half an hour, or if I go on my walking pad at home or use my standing desk, I use that just as like a little bit of extra support. So I definitely look at investing in one of those. And other things to think about are pelvic floor exercises and deep core exercises. So that was kind of that's my training. And I would say that in terms of the volume, I'm sticking to the same volume. I have just switched out the intensity. I'm doing a bit more strength training, and my cardio intensity has probably dropped slightly, not on every workout, but on some workouts. And I'm way more in tune with my body and just really actually honouring what my body needs and listening to my body. So that's my training plan. Then other things in this trimester. So I would say that in terms of how I felt with myself, obviously, like, your body is changing a lot. I felt absolutely fine, and actually kind of embrace having a little bump, because I think there is a bit of an awkward stage in between. That awkward stage where you do kind of look a bit bloated, you do look like you've had a big meal, and you feel a bit, as we would say in Nottingham, or maybe not anymore, but minging. Like, you just feel a bit minging. And now it's like you got a nice little round bump. I went out the other day and this lady at the restaurant was like, "Oh, you've got a designer bump." Like, "Oh, thank you, a designer bump." Anyway, so you kind of enjoy that. Clothes don't really fit anymore. I've started to wear a lot of Will's t-shirts, which he was quite offended about at the start, but I think he finds it quite funny. But just when I'm at home and relaxing, just put Will's t-shirt on. It's nice and baggy and just feels comfortable. And a lot of my shorts don't fit, so I invested in some maternity shorts. So things that I've invested in are maternity shorts and maternity clothes, obviously. Pregnancy pillow. I started off with a big U-shaped one, and I still, because I'm quite petite, I am 5 foot, I slid in between it and ended up lying on my back anyway. And then I was basically like a hot dog. So that one didn't work out for me. I ended up with another pregnancy pillow where it's like a pillow in front of you, a pillow behind. So you actually can't lie on your back. And I actually find that one way more comfortable anyway. And you kind of wrap your legs around it and just snuggle in like a little spoon. And then the other thing was the pregnancy belt, and that has taken a lot of pressure off my ligaments, and it does feel a lot better. So that's it in a nutshell. And things that you might want to consider at this stage, if you haven't already, is obviously time to make the nursery. We really need to get on that really badly. Your birth plan and what you want to do. So I'd speak to as many people as possible, but obviously make your own mind up, because you do get a lot of opinions as well. And I think it's really important just to take it all on board, but actually, make your own decisions and have your own opinions on things. Every pregnancy is going to be different. Every baby is going to be different as well when it arrives. But I would say, start to think about that. Maybe have a baby moon. It was a really nice break. Me and Will went to Devon and we stayed in the middle of this field. It was like in a little cabin and surrounded by sheep and not a right lot else. We had some really lovely long walks and took Harvey the dog. It's like an outdoor bathtub. It was stunning. It was beautiful. I would definitely recommend doing something like that. Just some quality time together, time to switch off before the little one arrives. So maybe a baby moon. And then finally, if you're into things like this, a gender reveal or a baby shower. A lot of my friends did either or. Most of my friends have done a baby shower. But we decided to do it together. So I wanted Will there. Normally for a baby shower, it'd just be the mum and mum's friends and aunties and mum's mum, etc. But I wanted Will to be part of it because I feel like, well, it's his baby too. So we decided that we're going to do a little baby shower and at the same time do a gender reveal. So we've got like family and really close friends coming along where we're going to pop the confetti in the colour of the gender and then we'll reveal everything. I just think it's a really nice way to do it. Obviously, there's no right or wrong. And what we've asked for, this is something else you might want to do as well. Start making a list with things that you need to get. What we've asked for is just vouchers, mamas and papas vouchers, and then we can go ahead and just get what we actually need rather than getting, 15 bibs and loads of the same things. But anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell for trimester 2. So I'm looking forward to trimester 3. It's literally the final countdown now. And starting to think about what I want to do in terms of a birth plan, whether it's going to be natural, whether it's going to be C-section, whether it's going to be in the hospital, etc. And really just starting to think about my options and my maternity plan, which is Oh, it's going to be released next month for Squaddies. It's absolutely brilliant. And anyone who knows me knows that I cannot sit down for long. So I'm not going to be taking a really long maternity. I'm planning on having a couple of weeks off. No, I actually am. But from classes, it will need to be a little bit longer. But I've totally got that covered. And I can't wait for my Squaddies to find out. But anyway, I'll leave that for the next time and the next episode, where you can find out all about my maternity plan, how trimester 3 went, and what's going on with baby Belle. Anyway, I hope if you are pregnant and you're listening to this, you are fit and you are well and you're excited about this new chapter. Excited, even though, it does feel pretty overwhelming and pretty scary at times, but also very excited. And if you were listening to this for a bit of behind the scenes, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please do let me know. Send me a message or write a little comment on the podcast or a little review. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day.